go. So next thing we're going to look at is the actual particle itself. So we're just going to create another, just delete what you've got in the outliner and create a new emitter. If it doesn't work for you, you can always delete it and start again. Yeah. So we've got the emitter type. We're now going to look at the particle. Yeah. You can see both in the attribute editor. So you can see the particle one, which is the emitter, and the particle, which is the actual name, and then we've got the actual particle shape. Yeah. It's alright, I'm starting from scratch anyway. Yeah. So we've been looking at the emitter, we're going on to the actual particle, and we're looking at particle shape 1 on the right hand side. Yeah. So this is where we're going to actually start looking at the actual appearance of the particles. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit complicated. Alright. So just going down, these are all the default settings. So just by hitting play you've got a maximum count of 162. Don't worry about these. Dynamics weight, when you have the dynamics weighted on, it's fully on, so it's set to 1. If it didn't have that on and press play, nothing would really happen anyway. Yeah, but if you had any turbulence or effects fields added to it, then they would have little effect on that actual particle animation. So you want the dynamic weights always set to 1. You've got another thing underneath that's called conserve. So as this is to do with the actual animation. So if you didn't, if you're playing the animation, you start to dial down the conserve, it affects that particle animation, so it stops it basically. Yeah. And if you put it fully back up to 1, it starts playing again. Yeah. Yeah, they stop. Yeah. So if you start pulling it down ever so slightly, you can just see them emanating and then stopping into an actual cluster itself. So, but if you stop the animation and restart it, so that's what happens with conserve. It's a really useful function because if you add a turbulence field or any other field effect, you can control an awful lot of animation that happens to the actual particles themselves. Alright? Going down, by default it's set to -1, so the particles are always being churned out. Yeah? So that's keyable. You can have a maximum count. So if I just put in 10 and press play, then it will just emit 10 particles. Yeah? That's it. 10. But if I was to put in 100, they'd spawn more particles and then stop. Yeah? You've got level of detail and inherent factor. So if you were to actually animate the actual particles, I'll just set this back to -1. Alright. So the best way to show you how to do the inherent value is to then create a NURBS circle. NURBS circle. NURBS circle. There you go. NURBS circle. I'm just going to scale that up. So I'm going to get the emitter and I'm just going to attach it to the actual circle. Go on to my animation. Is it rigging? I'm looking for motion path. Motion path, attach to motion path, bang. So what I've just gone and done is that I've attached the actual particle emitter to the motion path. Yeah. So what I'm just going to show you though is if you had the inherent value on there and you increase it, it will actually follow the motion of where the actual particles are emitting from. Yes? I'll do it again. Create NURBS circle, scale it up, yeah? Just hit R on your keyboard. Hit R, sorry. Forgot there was noobs in the room. Yeah? Select the emitter and then select with the control key your NURB circle so they're both highlighted. Go up control and your left mouse button. Yeah. Hit F2 on your keyboard. F3. F4. Yeah. So it goes to animation. Go up to the top where it says constrain. Hit the constrain path. And go to motion paths. Motion paths. Then attach to motion path. And then you press play. Then you'll have the actual particles following the actual motion path. Got it? So the inherent factor will then carry the motion from the actual particles along the motion path, yeah? That's controlling the actual motion. The particle is changing the actual look. Alright? Okay. Alright. Delete everything. And we'll start again. Delete everything and start again. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah. That's right. Frames, yeah. Alright. So go back onto, hit F5 on your keyboard. Go to end particles and create another legacy emitter. Press play. Alright. So at the moment, just going down, I'll just wait for these two to catch up. Yeah. He's alright, Oliver's alright. Yeah. So going down from the max count, level of detail, inherent factor, we then get into the lifespan. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Yeah. So at the moment, by default, all the particles live forever. Yeah. So whenever you see Mayer crash, when you put in 20,000, a million particles in there, it's because you've set it to live forever, and it's calculating those million particles constantly, and your machine's slowing down every second from the minute it's spewing out these million particles. And then you can't understand why, but it's because you've set them to live forever. Yeah? Normally when you're doing game effects, you want them set to constant, and when you see them in a game's engine, you'll want them on a constant setting. So if you hit constant and press play, you'll just then see them emitting at a lifespan of 1 second. Yeah? 1 second. Have you got that, Oliver? Yeah. Obviously, it's on what? It's on one. You don't need it. No, it's on 1. Yeah. And if you increase that to 3, then they'll live longer. Yeah? Okay. Just underneath that, just to show you the other options, you've got random range. So if you stop the animation and put them to random range, so at the moment they've set to 3, but if you put a random range of 1, so at 2 and at 4, they'll disappear. So it's a little bit more random. Okay. Yep, this is for creating explosions. Okay. Underneath that, sorry, just bear with me because I'm getting this recorded. So underneath that you've got the time attributes. Yeah, underneath that we're not going to worry about the other settings like the time attributes, the collision attributes, because we're not going to be setting up any collisions. You've got soft body attributes, but we're not going to use those. Goal and weights, not going to use those. We may be using the instancer just in how we get on today. Yeah. Okay. So we're now on the render attributes. Okay. In the attribute window. So by default they're set to points. So if you click on points and you go into multi-point, you'll see whole clusters of particles. Yeah. So if you just hit stop and hit current render type, you'll see all the settings for all these. So at the moment we're on multi-point. Then we've got multi-streak. Numeric will give you numerical values for positions of particles for you, which is handy for programmers and coders. Points that you have as default. You've got spheres. Spheres. Watch out, Helen's got balls. So, and that's recorded, by the way. So we've also got sprites. Yeah. So we've got sprites as well. Now, if you're in a game's engine, this is what you'd be default to be using. That's what you'll be using. Yeah. Then you've got streak. Yeah, so you've got little tails on the end of these particles. These are all what you call hardware particle animation. Yeah. The next ones we've got are software. So we're actually using the game's hardware actually to render those particles. Blobby surface, cloud and tube are all using the graphics card to render the particles. Alright? So you're using that in software, not using the hardware. Alright? So if you go into blobby surface, that's for dealing with things like liquid particle effects. Yeah? The next one is like for cloud, is for doing like atmospheric particle effects. So you would do this as a post-process in an effect scene. So you would then render this out within the actual scene itself. You keeping up, Oliver? All right. This is what we're going to use now. Yeah. So what I want you to do is we're going to go back onto our emitter. We're going to just stop the animation. We're going to call this laser. Yeah. The emitter. Yeah. And then you're going to name the actual particle laser. So make sure you're on the actual laser emitter and you're going to set that to directional, and it's going to go up in the Y. Just change it to directional. Yeah. 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 So we've got, at the moment, we've got 100 particles being emanated. We can change the size in a minute. We can change the speed. So if you increase the speed, you should see the particles get a little bit longer. You're sort of starting to get a lightsaber effect. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to leave that like that at the moment. Go on to our laser shape, and we're going to scroll down to our cloud SW. Yeah. Everybody with us so far? Everybody got a nice long particle stream going up in the Y. Yeah. Okay. We're going to add. We're going to start adding an attribute now to these particles. So at the bottom you'll see 3 tabs. Yeah. You've got a general tab, an opacity tab, and a color tab. We're going to click on the color tab. Yeah. Click on the color tab, and you're going to pull up an option box. And we could add color to the actual object, but we want a little bit more control over the particles than that. So we're going to add per particle attribute. Yeah. So tick the the middle one, add per particle attribute, then add the attribute. Yeah. So that's the color tab at the bottom. Where it says color, click the color tab. Yeah. When you hit play, you should see them change to black, because we've actually put an actual color value on those particles. Color. So it's RGB PP. Yeah. You'll see RGB PP add to that attribute in the particle editor. Yeah. Now we're going to we could create an expression. We could do a little bit of coding, but I want you then to right click on the RGB PP with your right mouse button. That will bring up an option, and I want you to select create ramp. Select create ramp. Create ramp. Just here. Just there. So I'll undo it. I'll break the connection. So where you see RGB PP, so click on the color tab, color, hit the, oh, you've probably already did it. Stop the animation. If you don't see it, just stop the animation, it will appear. Yeah. Yeah, there it is, RGB PP. Yeah. If you don't see it, just stop your animation. So right click, yeah, then create ramp. You don't need the options. And that will apply a ramp to those particles. So now you should see them fading from black to white. Yeah. So we need to edit that now. So what you need to do is go right click onto that, edit ramp. Edit ramp. Yeah. So when you edit the ramp, we're going to delete the black. We're going to add a red colour. Yeah? So now you should have a red laser type effect going. Yeah? No. Just on the colour. Has everybody got that? Sort of. Do you want me to do it again? Do you want me to start again? Okay. So, at the bottom here, yeah, delete attribute. So you, on your laser, yeah, underneath the render attributes, you've got add dynamic attributes, yeah, and you've got color. If you add the color, you brings up an option box, and you want the middle option box of add per particle attribute, yeah. So that's the middle one. That will then show you in your array attributes window, just here. You'll then see RGB PP in your array attributes editor. The middle one, yeah. That's it. So then when you go onto your... Have you done it? Looks like you've done it now. No, that's on the colour. So we're going to make a flame. Alright, we're going to make a flame. Everybody got the colour sorted out? So at the moment we need to add opacity to our particles. Alright, so we're going to click the opacity tab at the bottom, and that's going to do the same thing. We don't want to add the attributes for the object, we want to have it per particle again. So it's the second one. Yeah? And add that attribute. So you then see opacity PP come up in the attribute window. Yeah? So you now got RGB PP, which is per particle, and opacity PP. Everybody keeping up with me? Per particle, yeah. You want to create a ramp. Yeah? And you want to edit that ramp. So you want to get rid of the grey, so delete the grey, pull the white up to about a third of the way along, and then just add another one and change that to black. Yeah. Then you want to change that interpolation of that ramp to be smooth. Okay? So you've got a smooth setting. So when you press play now, you should then see the opacity at the bottom of the actual flame be gradual, and it should fade off at the top now. Yeah? So we're starting to get a little bit of a flame effect going. Yeah? So I'm going to stop that animation. Just stop the animation. Then close your, then hit Control A again on your attribute. Yeah. Opacity PP. That's it. So you want it pretty much what I've got it into my window at the moment. So delete the middle one and then add, and you want the interpolation set to smooth. Yeah. Then you should see the particles fade in at the bottom and fade out at the top. Yeah. So that's controlling the. You're now controlling the color and the opacity of the particles. Yeah. It stopped. Don't worry, you can catch up again and do it again. I'm going too fast. Oh, sorry. So, just stop the animation. Just click on the actual particles. Right, so hit opacity. That opacity tab, just under where your mouse is. Middle one, the middle mouse button. That one, you're on it then. We've just done it. Go down, move down a bit, move down a little bit more. There you go, opacity. Now add the second one. Yeah, that's it. And now you see opacity PP. That's it. Then add a ramp. Then edit that ramp. There you go. So delete that. Then move the white one over. That's a bit. And then create another one on the left hand side. Yeah. Then change that to black. Set. Then set the interpolation at the top instead of linear to smooth. There you go. Now press play. There you go. Got it? Alright. Now we're going to scale the particles because they're all uniform at the moment. And how are we going to do that? We're going to add a scale per particle attribute. Alright? So we need to get that from our Generals tab. So this is going to really freak you out. When you hit the General Attribute tab, it brings up this editor, Add Attribute Editor window. Yeah? So that's going to freak you out because you've got all sorts of programming terms and terminology in there, so don't worry about that. We're not doing any scripting. We're going to hit the particle tab window. So this lists all the attributes that you can have added for your particle animation effect. Yeah. So we're going to scroll down using our wheel mouse, and we're going to add radius PP. Radius PP. Yeah. So radius per particle. No, it's under the general tab, yeah. We're going to hit the radius PP and just hit OK. Yeah. You'll then see a radius PP appear in your attribute window. Yeah. So do the same thing. Create a ramp. Yeah. Edit that ramp, and pretty much do the same thing for what you've done with the opacity. Yeah. And set it to smooth. So when you press play now, you should have a little bit of a more of a flame effect appearing. Yeah. That's it, it's working. Yeah. So by changing the ramp, you'll see the ramp updating your animation, because that's a really cool thing that you see in Maya appearing. Yeah. So you can mess about with those to get it to work how you want it to. Alright? Everybody like that so far? So if you don't like the actual you just need to change the actual values on your actual ramp. Okay, so guess what? We can hit. Oh, we need to change our emitter now to flame. Rename to flame. 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 So we've now got a flame emitter and flame particle. Ta-da! Okay. So we can then go to our turbulence and add turbulence to our flame. Alright? Now we're going to do a little bit of a scripting. Yeah? So on our actual frequency, we're going to do a little bit of an expression. So if we right click on our frequency, we can create an expression. It brings up the expression editor, and it's done it half of it for us. It's highlighted what we're going to create the expression for. Yeah. You just right click on the frequency. Yeah. Right click on the frequency and create an expression. What you need to do is you need to highlight the turbulence where it says select object and attribute. This is quite advanced stuff, this, so you highlight that, press Ctrl C on your keyboard, then in the expression you hit Ctrl V and you put a space in, press equals, another space, and type RAND to call a function in. Yep. Open bracket. Yeah. Open bracket. 1, 2, close bracket, semicolon. Yeah? So it's turbulence field dot frequency equals rand, R-A-N-D, open bracket 1, 2, close bracket, semicolon. And then you just hit create. Yeah? So you'll then see highlighted in your frequency, the values then change to note that there's an expression on that frequency. Yeah? So if you close that now and you hit play, you should then see the turbulence effect being applied to your actual flame. Yeah? It is there. Yeah? Have you got lost? Okay. That's alright. Yes. It's an hour. Alright.